Welcome to the Same Day Podcast, where we discuss driving incremental business growth and other topics related to real estate, property management, and entrepreneurship. Now to the show at hand.
Hi there, Yoni Schmidt here, hosting today's episode of the Same Day Podcast, where we connect with top business and real estate leaders. Past guests include Ben Nemechek, Chris Lyle, Ben Ossenberg, and many others. And today's episode is brought to you by Keyrenter Property Management. Keyrenter Property Management is a full-service property management company helping our clients buy, renovate, and operate real estate assets. We help our clients build wealth while taking the headache out of real estate and ownership and property management. That's why no matter what assets or rentals you have, single-family homes, boutique multifamily, condos, townhouses, or apartments, we have the management solutions for you. Go to KeyrenterPMC.com or email us at info@KeyrenterPMC.com for more details. Today, I'm excited to welcome Ken McLoud. Ken is the founder of Laconic Tech and the secret weapon behind custom AI software growing businesses. After more than 15 years as an engineer working with brands like Toyota, Lockheed Martin, Bose, and many more, Ken now helps entrepreneurs implement AI the right way, combining strategy, implementation, and follow-through to deliver measurable results, including systems that have added over $28,000 in pure profit per month. Ken doesn't just build what clients ask for, he builds what actually solves problems. And today we're here to dive into how the real estate industry and property management companies can think strategically about AI, where it can drive real return on the investment, and where it can quietly become a tar pit or an expensive tar pit. Ken, welcome to the show, and thank you so much for being here. I should put my phone on Do Not Disturb.
Thanks for having me. I'll do the same.
Yeah, I'm getting all these notifications, and I realized I did not do that. Sorry. I guess let's dive right in. Right, framing AI for real estate companies and property management companies. There's just so much hype around this. It's been the hype for the last 18, 24 months now. People are using it. People don't understand it. People are, half in, half out. There's a lot of, like I said, AI hype right now. If you were sitting in, the owner's seat of a real estate firm or a property management company's, I guess like leadership seat, what's the first question that you would ask before implementing anything AI related?
Yeah, it's a great question. So the first thing that we got to do is we got to make sure that we avoid the whole solution in search of a problem trope, right? So like it's very corporate America to say something like, well, we've got to be doing more with AI right now. Mm-hmm. But this leads to, like, a couple months ago, the MIT Business Review had an article that over 90% of the AI projects funded by corporate America were still not showing a positive ROI. And it's exactly because of that kind of thinking. Unfortunately, I've been involved with a couple of them. So the key is to not even phrase it as, what are we going to do with AI? Instead, the right thing to do is to kind of take off the AI hat and put on more like a business consultant hat and think, what are the constraints of the business that are preventing us from getting to our goals, right? So maybe the goal right now is revenue growth. Maybe it's driving down costs to improve profitability. Maybe it's both of those things. But what are the constraints that are keeping us from getting where we want to go, irrespective of AI or technology at all? And then once we identify what the real constraints of the business are, then we want to go, okay, now we've got access to these amazing new technologies that we didn't have a year ago. So is there something new that we can do? Can we attack these constraints with these new technologies that probably weren't available to us the last time we were considering this problem?
And if we're framing this, just for example, for a second, for real estate, agents in the real estate world, right? Today, there's a constraint. Maybe you don't call it a constraint, right? It's we're shifting into more of a buyer's market. There's more inventory on the market. Rates are higher. Things are more expensive. Things are selling for a little less than listing price, and it's not like the frenzy that we experience during the pandemic, what would you say, what would you suggest for agents who are struggling to help their clients sell their homes because they're competing with, you know, thousands of other listings?
Yep. So the first thing we got to do is determine whether we're demand constrained or supply constrained, right?
Hmm.
So to take a little bit more clear example, like with property management, here it would be um, if you're frequently kind of backing off of trying to acquire new properties because you're not sure that you'll be able to take care of them, maybe you're
Hmm.
constrained on team size.
The
This would mean
capacity
you're
issue.
supply constrained, right? In that case, it's a supply of labor.
Hmm.
However, if you're like pedal to the metal, we're trying to get new traffic in the door at all times, go, 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 we could fill twice the amount of traffic we have right now,
Hmm.
then you're more demand constrained. So the first question you got to ask when you're up top is, are you supply constrained or demand constrained? Like for a
Hmm.
real estate agent, that would be, am I trying to get every listing I possibly can? Because I know as soon as I get a listing, I can flip that thing. That would have been in the COVID days, right?
Hmm.
Or is it the other side, like, geez, I'm kind of worried about taking more because I can't move the ones that I've already got on the books.
Yeah.
So then you're more supply constrained on that side. So then once you determine which one of those two you're in, which one of those boats you're in, now that kind of sets you down the path of where you're going to attack.
Hmm. We hear a lot of property managers. I guess I hear a lot in the industry, property managers saying, leads are down. Owner leads of property owner, of properties, are not calling us, and the phone isn't, ringing off the hook like it maybe used to, and leads are down. Do you see AI replacing, what traditional marketing firms have been doing, for years now, decades now, and coming in to just like revolutionize the marketing industry as well?
Yeah, it certainly is. And I actually work with a handful of marketing agencies. It's another good point, though, across the board. I think it's a lot better to think of these tools as superpowering the humans than out and out replacing them.
Hmm.
Right. So, like all of the successful marketing agencies right now, to take that example, they aren't worried about being replaced by AI. They're using AI tools, some of them that we've built, in order to superpower their existing team. Right. So
Hmm.
they can get much better results for their clients than they used to be able to be, or maybe they can handle many more clients per employee than they used to be able to.
Yeah.
So it'd be
That
the same sort of thing.
and that was my sentiment, I guess, up until very recently, is I wasn't worried about AI, coming in to replace my job or, taking my job. I was just worried about, the company down the street leveraging AI and doing a better job than us, right, with these systems and tools, to where our clients will, ultimately go there, right? Now with new the agent AI products that are out there, I have some different thoughts, but we can get into that later if we have some more time. You talk a lot about AI being a three-legged stool, right? Strategy, implementation, and follow through. Can you, I guess, expand on that? And where do most companies fall down?
Yeah. So unfortunately, there's a lot of falling down across all three. Uh, but so that three-legged stool, strategy, implementation, follow through. To kind of burn through those quick. Strategy is that process we were talking about at the top of the show here, where we don't want to be a solution in search of a problem. Instead, we want to identify the constraint of the business. And then we want to say, is there some way we can use this awesome new technology to attack that constraint, to relieve the
Hmm.
constraint in a way that wasn't possible 12 months ago, let's say. The second layer is implementation. This is the stuff that's exciting for me, but probably boring for most other people. This is the like hands-on keyboard, typing out the code, actually building the application bit of it. Uh,
Hmm.
and then the third bit is the follow-through, right? So for most of these systems, thinking of it as kind of a one-off, quick hit and run sort of situation is not going to lead to success.
Hmm.
So we almost always have to go through a process where We get the system set up. You get it running in the real world. You get water flowing through the well. And then once you get enough water, you'll see like, oh, when this thing happens, we thought it was going to do that, but it's actually doing this. And then we've got to adjust. Maybe we're just adjusting prompts. Maybe we've got to change what data is available to the AI. There might be some more kind of architectural tweaks that we have to do in order to get it to behave. And then that problem will be solved. And then you kind of sit and wait, and another one will come up. And then you've got to attack that. And kind of the pattern here is like the first week as systems deployed, you're going to have a whole bunch of these. You know, and then the next week a lot less, and the next week a lot less, until eventually it's just kind of a low simmer as new, unusual situations come up. And then you also have that all of the major labs that everyone's heard about, like OpenAI, Grok, Claude, they're all constantly improving these models, right? So you also have, you want to continuously be upgrading to the latest and greatest models as they come out. But these models have kind of a unique personality each time, even if it's just the new version of a model from the same provider. So we'll often find that, you know, let's say you're going from GPT-5 to GPT 5.2, you might have to redo some of those prompts or kind of retweak the prompts because 5.0 saw it in one way and interpreted it one way. 5.2 has got a slightly different personality and now it's interpreting it a different way.
Yeah.
So that kind of continuous follow through is super important to actually getting your ROI out of the system.
Yeah. I'm noticing like a lot of these updates and iterations and improvements are also happening at a much faster pace now, right? It's not, whereas you went from, ChatGPT 1 point whatever to 1.9 to 2, right? Then that may have taken a little longer than going from 5 to 5.2, right? Yep. So I guess let's talk a little bit about ChatGPT and the difference between using that and actually implementing AI in the business, right? That's something that people confuse often, right? You ask them, are you using AI in your business? They say, yes. How are you using it? I use ChatGPT every day. Not necessarily implementing AI and integrating it into the business. Talk to us a little bit about that difference.
Yeah, so like I think what most people think of when they think of AI is essentially a chatbot, right? It's that classic chat GPT interface. And you can get this isn't just a chat GPT, right? You can get this from Claude and Grok and Gemini. And that's super useful. Like I use it multiple times a day, every single day. A lot of times I'll use it as sort of a research assistant. I'll send it off to the internet to go get some piece of information for me. A lot of times I'll use it to kind of help me write stuff. Kind of organize my thoughts and collect my thoughts a little better. So there you've got to watch because it definitely has a tendency to sound like an AI. Right? They're very eager to like overpromise and use a bunch of flowery adjectives, So that's the kind of stuff that I think most people are doing when they say, yeah, I'm using ChatGPT or using AI. And it's not at all that that's bad. I do that stuff all the time. The kind of stuff that I'm building out, however, is much more of a workflow. So to give you an example, I've got a system that I built for a trucking company out of Memphis. So they're a trucking brokerage. Essentially, they're a matchmaker between companies that have urgent freight that needs to be moved, right? So maybe it's a load of 2x4s that's got to go from Tallahassee to Dallas by a certain date. They'll take that job and then they got to go find a truck to move the job for cheaper than what they got paid for it, right? And then essentially they make the money.
It's an arbitrage.
Yep. Yeah. A matchmaking service arbitrage kind of business. Yep.
Yeah.
So there we have an AI tool set up that watches the customer sites for these jobs to become available. When a job becomes available, it goes out to the internet and calls some APIs in order to get things like current diesel price, what trucks are available along that route. Current weather conditions even come up, obviously, with that like big storm we had a few weeks ago. Then it will take that information and pass it to an AI. That one's using Grok. pass it to an AI along with a pretty complex set of instructions on what jobs tend to be profitable and how we want to bid on those jobs, right?
Mm-hmm.
So then the AI will then decide, are we going to bid on that? Yes or no? And how much are we going to bid? So if it decides yes, the system then automatically goes to the customer's website and bids on the job for the amount determined by the AI. So
Interesting.
everything I just said used to be something that there were a handful of office workers, and kind of one of their jobs was constantly watching these customer sites for these jobs to come up and then basically doing the process I just described. And now that just entirely happens behind the scenes without a human touching it. And the humans are all focused on much higher value tasks like managing those customer relationships and tracking down solutions for emergencies. Like, we had an urgent truck going somewhere and it just broke down on the side of the road. So now we got to get someone there to pick it up.
Yeah, that's fascinating. And it's probably doing it at a much faster speed too.
Absolutely. Yep.
Yeah.
So there is no chat interface. Like it's a fully AI powered system that's making a bunch of money, but there's nothing that looks like Chat GPT there.
Right. That's interesting. Let's talk a little bit about mid-sized property management companies, maybe one like ours. Where would you first look for AI leverage opportunities within, even if it's not property management, maybe real
Yeah.
estate, right? Lead generation, leasing, sales, maintenance, back office. If you were coming in, what would be the first thing that you would
Yeah.
tackle?
No, I think this will be a super fun example. So let's jump right into it.
Yeah.
So to take the example from earlier, are you guys currently pedal to the metal on finding as many new properties as you can? Or are you kind of holding off, easing off the throttle on, hey, maybe we'd run out of manpower if we took on more properties?
hmm I mean, I would say we like the consistent growth with, selective owners and selective properties and, nicer product in nicer neighborhoods and nicer areas, things that are, potentially a little more, call it, they're easier to manage, right? Instead of like very difficult Class C products that often attract the wrong people, and owners are constantly only focused on cash flow when in reality maybe in a economic and interest rate environment like the one that we're in right now, and let's date this at February 19th of 2026. You should be focused maybe more on cash flow, and maybe you have several things that are working for you with your investment in real estate, and a few things that are not performing as well, right? Such as cash flow in this interest rate environment. So I don't know that we're pedal to the metal, but I also don't know that we're slowing down completely. We're probably somewhere in the middle there.
I guess here's the let's say 5 new properties dropped in your lap tomorrow.
hmm
Would that be like, hell yeah, we are going to have an awesome year? Or is that like, ooh, I don't know what I can take care of 5 new
Definitely,
properties?
we would definitely. I mean, we would say that was a good week. I don't think that it would reflect entirely on the year,
Yep.
or it could be if it's the first week or second week of the month, maybe that's a good start to the month. So we would definitely if it fits our rubric cube of
Yep.
qualifying owners and properties, then yes, we would take it on, and we
All
would
right.
not have a capacity issue.
Cool. Yeah, no, I think we're demand constrained then. Like the business would be better off to get more high quality leads in the door. Is like the
100%.
main thing that's constraining growth. So can you tell me about your best channels specifically for getting those good leads in the door?
Yeah.
I'm sure you have lots of leads that you guys wind up kind of pushing to the side, but what's your
Yeah.
best channels for getting the good leads?
I mean, it's referrals and networking. People who have been doing business with us, they know our systems and our processes, they value the partnership and the relationships and the value to our contractors and our vendor network. That is definitely the highest conversion rate, I guess, avenue, highest converted rate avenue that we have.
Gotcha. What are we doing to encourage those referrals?
A ton. I mean, outbound activities such as networking. I was just at an event in Northwest Arkansas in Bentonville, a Bigger Pockets event on Tuesday. I'm going to an event tonight. For some reason, I made top 500 agents in Oklahoma. So they invited us to like a toast to the top or something like that. So I'm headed out to that, and you shake hands and meet people, rub shoulders, and then one-on-ones with vendors in our network, with mortgage brokers, with insurance brokers, with any trade, right, that's out there. Yeah, whether it's flooring or roofing or foundation or maintenance or electrical, plumbing, HVAC, all the trades out there that we rely so heavily on, and we would be nothing without those vendors. We're networking with them, and we're having deep, meaningful conversations, not just to learn more about their business and what are good referrals for them, but also educating them on our business and explaining what are the good referrals for us.
That's awesome. So what are you doing? So you meet somebody at one of these networking events, let's say. Let's say rather than a referral partner, they're a good potential property owner for you. What are we doing to get them engaged with Keyrenter?
Yeah, I mean, it takes consistent follow up and follow through. Potentially, let's use an example from this past Tuesday. There's a guy who's a software engineer who was at this event. He just texted me last night, and he was asking me if I could connect him with our agent in the Northwest Arkansas market because he wants to buy a duplex in House Hack, right? So I put him in touch with the great and mighty Danielle Jurado from our office in Northwest Arkansas, who's an executive broker. And she is really just a go-getter and a wonderful person too. I don't know how she does it with raising 5 children as well. So she's definitely busy, and she could help him find a duplex, and then when he wants to house hack, he can essentially use our services for the other side of the duplex, right?
Yep.
And we could find a tenant, we could lease the property, we could manage it, collect the rent, distribute the rent, handle communication, handle maintenance, provide him with financial statements and a financial overview of his investment, and so on and so forth.
Gotcha. No, so I think I've got a good idea here.
Okay.
Specifically for engaging people like that you encounter at these networking events, and we want to kind of pull them into the Keyrenter ecosystem. So you've probably heard of the term lead magnet.
Right.
So I've got a number of successful projects for clients across a few industries that are essentially AI-powered lead magnets. So how this would work in this case is we'd come up with what's some key bit of information that Keyrenter understands really well that potential house hacker doesn't understand, right? Like maybe the first one that comes to mind to me would be something like, what's my cash flow likely to be in this situation, right? Am I just covering expenses, or am I going to be cash flow positive here? You guys probably know the other stuff that are like the top questions on their head.
I mean,
for a potential client like this.
What would something even rent for would be the first question, right? And then, yeah, definitely other financial KPIs and metrics like cash on cash return, your cap rate, your internal rate of return, so on and so forth. For house hacking, it's called your debt service coverage ratio, which is your ability to cover the debt, essentially, is what a lender would look at. And in today's environment, if it's not more than 1.1, 1.2, a lender may just say this isn't a great investment. Although if it's a duplex and it's also, call it subbing as your primary, it may be something that a lender would say yes to, right?
Yep. So great example. How this sort of tool would work would be we'd stand up a landing page that you could then point people to at these events. Right. So like maybe you print a card with a QR code on it. People do all sorts of like fun stuff. Sometimes I've seen stickers that they'll put on dollar bills. Right. And then you hand out the dollar bill like, hey, we'd like to make you some more money. Here's some money. And it's got a sticker with the QR code on it. Fun stuff like that. And then this landing page that they drive to, importantly, we capture their email address. And then we also ask them kind of the bare minimum questions we'd need to ask them in order to answer some of these questions, right? So like in this
Mm-hmm.
case, maybe it's the address of the property we're looking at, or there can even be free form, like free text questions about like, what's your goal for this?
Yeah.
Uh, the specifics would depend on which questions we're trying to answer, but you get the idea. So then what we'd do is we would take the information that they put into that form and we'd send it off to an AI along with a pretty detailed set of instructions from you guys on how you would attack this client's problem. Right. So it would be
Mm-hmm.
exactly the sort of stuff you were just telling me. Hey, in this lending environment, we've got to see this debt service ratio. This particular market that you're looking at is really weak right now. So we probably want to throw like a 10% knockdown on the number we'd normally use to estimate rent
Mm-hmm.
here, all sorts of stuff like this. And that can just be a text file, like as though you had a human intern who was going to write these reports for people on their house hacking ideas.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and so it's not code. It doesn't have to live in some special system. It can be a text file on a Google Drive that when you guys want to change this advice about debt ratios or about the strength or weakness of certain markets, you just open up the text file and change it like you were changing the SOP for a human.
Yeah.
So then we'd send that all off to the AI and have the AI generate a custom report that are answering the questions that this person's going to want to know. Right.
Mm.
So like in this case, it's those financials. Maybe it's got some information in there about what working with Keyrenter is like. What are the sort of problems that they're not going to have to deal with once they hire you guys to take care of them? It can be branded. Maybe we've got a branded, beautiful PDF here, but it's not
Mm-hmm.
just a generic how do you house hack. It's specifically about 123 Mulberry Street and how that market's doing, how you guys would attack that problem. And then we email it to them, which was our excuse to ask them for their email, because these things will tend to take a minute or two to
Yeah.
generate, especially if we got to go look up. Maybe we call the Zillow API and look up the specifics on the property, let's say. So
Yeah.
now we've done a few really important things. We've captured their email, so you guys have an easy way to reach back out to them. We know specifically which property they're looking at, which probably helps you vet whether or not they're actually a good lead and worthy of
Mm.
your time to follow up with. And
Sure.
perhaps most importantly, we've established Keyrenter as the authority in the space,
Mm-hmm.
right? They're the person who you come to get the questions answered. They know what's what and how to do this.
Yeah.
So these systems have been super effective for turning kind of like tire kickers, people sniffing around the periphery who you run into at these sort of events, into engaged leads who are ready to get on sales calls and talk business.
Yeah. Fascinating. I guess let's talk a little bit about, calculating whether an AI implementation is even worth it, right? What are the metrics that, anyone, whether they're in the property management world or not, should be watching, right? Is this helping my labor efficiency ratio? Is it not? What do you look at to say
It would
it's
it,
worth it or not?
it would super depend on the project in particular that we're looking at, right? So like to take that specific example we were just doing there,
Hmm.
you can probably look at your overall book of business and determine that an average customer has this value to you over the customer lifetime, right? And that's something we need to disclose here. But you could take, on average, we make X dollars in gross profit from a client each month.
Mm,
And on average, a client stays with us for 36 months or what, I have no idea what your number is. Maybe it's
about
a lot
eight
longer.
years. Yeah.
There you go. Awesome. So then you can multiply those two numbers and know that, okay, uh, a new customer is worth X dollars to us.
Hmm.
So then we can say, okay, we only want to spend some very small fraction of that in order to go acquire them, right? So
Mm,
10% or less probably of the value of that client in order to go acquire them. So then we can look at how many new clients would this system have to give us in order to be positive ROI.
got it.
Right. So, like in this case, this is a perfect example. There's a very good chance in your situation that a single new client would pay off that system. And then
Hmm.
everything beyond that single new client is just money in the bank.
Hmm.
So, in that case, you've got to go like, do I believe this AI lead magnet system that we just talked about could get me one new client?
Yeah.
And if the answer is yes, then like you should probably go ahead and pull the trigger on that, because if it gets for every one more than one that it gets, you're just money in the bank.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. Let's change course a little bit. Talk about risk, reality, long-term thinking here. What are some of the biggest risks or downsides of AI implementation that you're thinking of and seeing that business owners aren't necessarily thinking of right now?
Yeah, no, I've got a couple great examples in this space, actually. So I'm talking to a gentleman out of South Dakota who does, so he's both a property owner and he does his own management, like what you guys do. He's got a number of multifamily units. And he originally came to me looking for a call system, an automated call system, right? So like somebody's interested in renting an apartment. Instead of having somebody sitting in the office taking those calls, he wanted an automated system to take the call. But a little bit like that conversation we just had, it started out going, okay, what's a new renter worth to you? Right? Like how much, take your average stay for a tenant, and then take your average, say, monthly gross profit for a tenant and multiply those two out. What's it worth? And I won't give his number away, but it was many thousands of dollars. Let's say. Okay. And what percentage, by the time somebody is picking up the phone to call the office and ask about a lease, what percentage of those people wind up turning into tenants for you? He's like, oh, it's pretty high. It's probably 25 or 30%, because nobody wants to pick up the phone. So by the time they're picking up the phone, they're pretty dead set on, I'm renting an apartment. It's just a matter of from who, right?
Right.
So 25 or 30% of many thousands of dollars, let's say, to keep it vague, is still a heck of a lot of money. So each time that phone rings, it represents like a couple grand potentially on that phone.
Yeah.
Okay. So if the AI phone system isn't there all the way, if it isn't as good at a human at interacting with that person and getting them to the point, like, so what there, we probably want them to come in and fill out an application.
Right.
If they're even a little bit not as good at that, how much money does that stand to lose us? And it's like, it's significant, right? Yeah. For all of these businesses, especially big multi-family operations like that. So like, and then what are you paying that person to sit in the office and answer the phone? Like much less than many thousands of dollars per call, right? Like whatever their hourly rate is, they take, I don't know how many calls a day. It still is, it turns out it is much, much cheaper to actually have that human answer the phone than to risk losing those customers to an AI system that isn't quite there.
Yeah, because so the standard, the level has to be human, even with AI, right? I mean, you call American Airlines, you call Southwest, you call, hotels.com, you get these AI bots, and the first thing you do is say, put a human on the line.
Yeah. Yep. And I know I do the AI stuff, right? And so they've gotten, I'm always really interested whenever I've got to call something for personal or business and I run into one of these bots. So I pay close attention. They've gotten super good at synthesizing voices, so it doesn't at all sound like a robot anymore.
Right.
It sounds like a human talking. They do the tacky, like you can hear the keys.
Right.
Do that in the microphone.
Very tacky. Yeah. Yeah.
And it's like, come on.
It's like a call center. You hear it in the background and other people are talking in the background and like people are typing. Yeah.
There's always like a little bit too much lag, like a question that a human would just answer immediately. It's got to go through the whole pipeline and bounce off a dozen servers. So it takes a little too long, which is the first thing. And then, man, if you ever interrupt it, it just becomes instantly clear that you're not talking to a human. Like they cannot handle interruptions the way a human can at all. Now I want to hedge all this. Like you said, we're having this discussion in February 2026. By a year from now, this might be changed.
Right.
The level they might have fixed many or all of those problems, and then it would change the math on this. Because if it didn't do that, It's probably better at following instructions than a human is, for
Hmm.
instance. But right now it's got all of these problems that, and even I, as an AI expert, feel this way. When you call one of these lines and you get one of these bots that's pretending to be a human, it kind of pisses you off.
Right.
Like
Yeah.
it's something like it thought it could trick me. These people
Hmm.
thought this was going to trick me. Like they don't think very highly of me. They thought they were going to fool me into thinking this was a human, and it instantly turns me off. And I'm sure if it turns
Hmm.
me off, it turns non-AI people off even more.
Yeah. Although I did come across one situation. I'm not going to name the company, but it was basically I received a full refund for something that, I probably would have gotten a refund anyways. But it was for a non-refundable reservation, and I went through the AI bot thing, and it ended up like returning everything. So I got a full refund on it. It was like, I don't know, $640 that I saw come back on my card for a non-refundable hotel reservation, which I, had every intention of using, but the storm that came through late January kind of messed things up. So that's interesting. It can also make mistakes. I guess if you could give property managers one piece of advice about AI for over the next 3 years, what would it be?
So I give me two. And they're both
Okay.
stuff that we've talked to already, but I think they're already super important. The first one is that one we were just talking about. That
Hmm.
is, especially when you have high value customers, like tenants who are going to be with you for a long time and spend a lot of money, or in the property management scenario, property owners who are going to be with you for years and earn you a lot of money.
Hmm.
You want to think of this as you're putting the AI behind you. So you're talking to the customer, and then the AI is behind you, superpowering your operations.
Hmm.
You don't want to put the AI between you and that super valuable customer
Yeah.
because it's not there
Interesting.
yet in early
Yeah.
2026. Like that's going to wind up costing you money and hurting your reputation amongst those customers. So you
Yeah.
absolutely do want to use it, but you want to use it to superpower your operations, not to come in between you and those high value customers.
Yeah.
And
Makes
then
sense.
and then the second one is the one that we've already hit this drum at least twice, but you absolutely do not want to be a solution in search of a problem. So you don't want to go, man, Chat GPT is awesome. Where can we use Chat GPT in this business? And we're
Mm,
trying to come up with where to use Chat GPT.
got it.
Instead, you want to attack the business problem. And if
Hmm.
there's a good way to employ AI there, all the better.
Yeah. Such as, when ChatGPT first came out, I created a little bot with a Zapier, and I had it answer all my emails, right? But instead of actually hit send, it just put them into my draft folder. So
Yep.
that way, when I wake up in the morning, I can just go through it and read everything, edit stuff, and then, hit send. Um, so, I mean, it's doing quite a bit, but love that. Tell us, I guess, what podcasts are you listening to? Books are you reading? What's inspiring you at the moment?
So let me think of some good examples here. The first one that came to mind is one that might be a little technical for everyone else. It's a little more on the kind of math and science behind the AI stuff side, but is a YouTube channel called AI Explained.
Okay.
They've got a Patreon too where they do more like in-depth stuff behind the scenes. But if you're interested, if you're not necessarily techie like computer programming, but if you're into like the math and science side of this stuff and also want to keep up on all the latest developments, that's an awesome YouTube channel. Uh, and then from the business side, I like can't get enough Alex Hermosi. So
Oh yeah.
I'm just drinking up every bit of content that he puts out.
Yeah.
So that's not,
Nice.
he'll mention AI plenty. That's not AI specific, but is a lot like we're talking about here on attacking the constraints of the business. That's the ammunition you need there.
Yeah. Alex Hormozy and AI Explained on YouTube. Um, Ken McLoud. Any other final thoughts on the topic?
No, I think we hit it all.
Yeah. Awesome. Thanks for watching. Ken McLoud from Laconic Tech. If you have any questions, people should reach you by going to laconictech.com.
Yep, I'll spell it out. LACONICTECH.com, or my email is ken@laconictech.com.
Awesome. We'll put those in the comments below so that you have easy access to them. Ken, thank you so much for educating me and our listeners.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for listening to the Same Day Podcast. Tune in to a new show each week and be sure to subscribe to get future episodes.